All right, guys, we are back, and I have been on this crazy rabbit hole lately of wellness, health, biohacking, optimizing your health. And I'm always excited to bring on interesting, profound guest. And today I have that guest. And I've been looking forward to interviewing her for some time. And if you know me, you know I'm all about optimizing my health. I'm all about detoxing protocols, drinking good water. And we know that Ophora is the best water. My guest loves it too. So there she is. So today I have Kim Rogers. She is the founder of Rogers Hood Apothecary. We'll get into that and what that means. And she's also the inventor of Parafy, which is a parasite cleanse kit. And you guys, I'm starting that parasite cleanse because as we grow older and as we start to fine tune our bodies, whether you've done a protocol or you're, biohacking, whatever you're doing, you start to fine tune your body and you know when something is off. And I've done all the things and recently came across these symptoms that I couldn't quite put my finger on because I was already doing mold protocols and heavy metal protocols and eating clean food, but soon realized parasites. Parasites are a thing because I was constantly bloated, my hormones were off, my skin was an issue, even though I was doing all the things. And one day, I know we're going to get TMI in this podcast interview, but one day I noticed some weird white specks in my fecal matter. We're going to go there. And what I found out was it was a worm, a tapeworm, I think it was, whatever it is. I have Kim Rogers on today. Welcome. We're going to talk all things about parasites. I know some of you are like, what? Parasites? Tammy, what are you talking about? We have them, period.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
And
95% of us,
right.
95% of us have parasites. And that's
And we
just
don't
being generous.
and we don't even know it. Like we don't
Right.
even know it, Kim. So tell me a little bit about that. Like when I started doing my research, I mean, if you're eating a lot of seafood, it's almost
Mhm.
guaranteed.
Yes. Yes.
If you're
'Cause it's
drinking
in
water
like
from
everything,
Mexico,
right?
yeah.
Yep.
If you go to Mexico and you're drinking
Mhm.
the water, you're probably going to get parasites. So, yeah. So tell me a little bit about you, your journey. Tell me how you came to be the worm queen, because you're known as the worm queen on social media. And you truly are, because I watched some of your reels and I'm like, that worm came out of that person's body. Like, how'd that happen, right? How did you come to be the worm queen?
Well, first, if you're drinking our country's water, you probably have parasites. That is where
Mm,
we figured all of this out, is that the water in Hoodsport, Washington, where we were building our log home and we were living, I tested it independently to a lab in Mexico and it came back
mm,
positive. And I also live in Seattle and I've tested Seattle's water and it came back positive. And come to find that our country doesn't test for nematodes in the water. So a parasite is an umbrella word. So there's multiple layers to the word parasite. Parasite's definition is anything that feeds off a host, and the Latin term is an unwanted dinner guest. So, you guys are gonna hear me laugh a lot. It's a really crazy
unwanted
conversation
dinner
because
guest.
it's just kind of gross, but I think the reality is that we have been somewhat indoctrinated to think that there's no way we could get these things. There's no way that our first class American Western medicine society could ever get a parasite. And I know now that I've actually had parasites for an extended period of time, maybe decades. I remember back when I wasn't well and when I started to not feel well in my 20s. So that kind of was the start of all of this. And since doing this, I can really look back and like pinpoint the moment that I realized I probably had parasites. And there were a few times down the line here that I would say something to my doctors and, the gaslighting and
Oh.
there's no way, but I went to Mexico often. I worked for an airline, so I was traveling all over and I didn't drink the water, but I certainly drank some of the margaritas and that has ice in it, and I
Mm,
didn't
mm.
even think anything of it. So,
And the food.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you're washing the produce with water that your fingers are crossed that it's, not contaminated water. So there's so many ways to get it. And I think just having this knowledge is like the power that we all need to have an understanding. Like you were saying, you're having some symptoms and Some of those symptoms are grinding your teeth and
Oh my
skin
gosh, at
issues
night.
and
At
yeah,
night.
all night long. Like if I would grind through retainers, grind through retainers.
And you know what's crazy is when it's happening, you don't think about, oh my God, is this a parasite? You're like, why am
Mm,
I grinding? Am I just like my nervous? Because it affects your nervous system too. So
yes,
I'm thinking, oh, my nervous system is just dysregulated right now. Let me just go see my doctor. No, it's parasites, like at the
right.
end of the day, right?
Yes.
So you went viral on TikTok.
Yes. Yes.
How did that, how did that shift your mission? When that happened, how did that shift your mission?
Well, my mission at that time was to not die. And I do say that often because my best friend actually told me that I don't explain it with the real feeling of the sickness that I had. I was very ill. So in 2019, my husband and I quit our jobs. I ran 25 healthcare colleges. I have 2 healthcare degrees. I've been in Western medicine for over 20 years and I just declined. I had 13 surgeries, a hysterectomy when I was 29. I had stage 4 endometriosis, beginning stages of cervical cancer, and no one could help me. And I come from Western medicine on a professional level, and I really trusted a lot of what they were saying. So they just got to a point where they couldn't butcher me anymore.
Mm,
I couldn't have any more surgeries. Like I was maxed out. I was just creating adenomyosis, which is a scar tissue disease now. And there really wasn't much left for me to be able to like pivot to and figure out what was wrong with me. So my husband quit his job. We live in Washington and he quit his job and I quit mine. We sold our belongings, we sold our house, and we moved out to our recreational property that's on the outskirts of a rainforest. And we
mm,
decided to build a log home, just the two of us. It's like 1,800 square feet, 2 stories. It's a beautiful log home, by the way. It is finished.
mm.
And so after 5 years, so we really like took this very seriously in 2019 to heal me. And so I started looking into all the things, mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
That's why we celebrate the mushroom every day for us, and we really started to dig deep into my health because there wasn't any other option than death for me, and we didn't want that, but that is really where I was going. I was not on a good path. So after about a year, we started to kind of regain a little bit more of our health
Wow.
my health, but it wasn't enough. And my skin was a mess. My anxiety was out of control. My teeth grinding was terrible. I was so swollen. I think you've seen pictures
Inflammation,
of
yeah,
me. I was
yeah.
so swollen that here, I'll show you guys so you guys can see really how sick I really looked.
Oh my gosh, Kim.
So
Wow.
I was so sick and no one could tell me what was wrong with me. So
Oh, that
I'm
is so
on
frustrating though when you're in
so
that
frustrating.
because you become
Uh-huh.
part of the process, right, in the system, and I went through something similar when I was detoxing from breast implant illness because I had mold in my body, and I had
Uh-huh.
every practitioner tell me, "It's all in your head." No, it's not all in my head, right? I mean, it was so when you become your own science project,
Yeah.
right, then you really start to unravel, and the things the things you discover can either be, "Oh my gosh, thank you that I saw that," or, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this," right? So you were, like, deathly ill.
Science project. That's so funny because that's what I did with amanita. It's not like
Yes!
so amanita is a really amazing mushroom that everyone thinks, well, if you eat
Yes!
it, it'll like unalive you, but that's not the case at all.
Unalive
It's
you.
actually the same level as a benzodiazepine, which I was on Klonopin for 22 years because of all of the things that I was going through.
Amazing.
So yeah, science project. That's funny.
That's true, though, think about it. Let's
It's true.
dissect that for a second,
It's
unpack that.
true.
Because when you are a victim of, here's a steroid shot, here's an antibiotic, here is a painkiller, and you know, if you don't stand up for yourself, and I
Yep.
recently just went through this where I told my dermatologist because she was giving me all this stuff, I go, stop for a second. What infection are you treating by dispensing this antibiotic? And why are you giving me a steroid shot?
Mhm.
Oh, wait, because you're practicing medicine, you haven't figured it out yet.
Right.
So we
Which if
become our
they
own
just
science
took some
project.
time, Tammy, and stopped and researched, I mean, that's all I do every day for 4 years. How do
Yeah.
you think all of this came about, you know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
literally spend hours a day researching exactly what I need to do for myself, and then as soon as I do it, I realize it, and then I share it with everyone, and that's
Yeah.
all that this journey for me has been, and that is even going viral on TikTok. That is exactly why I went viral, because here I am saying, "Okay, so in 2021, July of 21, actually in 2 days, it'll have been 4 years that I went viral." I posted a 60-second video, and I started it out that I've been in Western medicine for over 18 years, and I've never dewormed myself until now. After 3 days of just a very simple tincture through a company I got from Amazon,
Of
I
course.
saw roundworm, flukes, and pinworms in the toilet in 3 days, and the pain that I had had for decades that they continually kept in, going in and surgically trying to remove was gone, and I've never had it back, by the way. I've never had that pain back in my life again because of this.
Explain that pain.
So it's on the right side, and it was so
Abdominal.
painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right on my hip, right on the
Yeah.
right side of my hip, and it would just like it would feel like a sharp pain. Well, now I know it was just sacs and nests and worms and
Oh my
flukes and
god.
pinworms, and I mean, the amount of knowledge that I have had in the last 4 years, and I actually have a joke about this because I left urgent care when I worked in the field because I hated parasites.
Because I hated parasites, she said. And
I
now look,
hate scabies worms.
ew, mites, all of it.
Oh,
Just
and here
ew.
I am, worm
Oh
queen. I'm like, I will take it because I got crowned. Literally, people send me crowns because I got crowned. I got crowned. Like, okay,
my
I
the
mean, what are you gonna
queen.
do? I'm a queen now, so I'll take it.
Isn't that ironic? That is a good story though.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can look back on it in hindsight and laugh about it because that's traumatizing.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
just
for
go there.
sure.
Right?
It's
Because think
traumatizing.
about yeah, because think about and
Mhm.
again, I have the same journey but along a different, mine was black mold, right? So it's
Yeah.
triggering. It triggers people when you are exposed to it again or you're in a situation where you're like,
Yeah.
"Wait a minute. I've been here before and I don't want to go back." Right? But I think we get to a certain point in our lives where we fine tune so much that I don't think the cleanses become as frequent. Maybe I'm wrong.
I love doing them. I feel
Yeah.
so much better when I'm doing them, and
Yeah.
I definitely wanna talk about that, but I also wanna share with you, Tammy, that we also have black mold poisoning, and we found that out in '22, and I had my eyes swelled shut, I lost half my
Yes.
hair, and the
Yes.
problem was I was on this viralness of the
Mhm.
parasites,
Parasite, the
and
worm.
I had just started my business, and I
Yeah.
was almost a year in, and it was actually August of 22 that we found out there was black mold in our travel trailer while we were building our log home. So, and now I also know that I actually have chronic Lyme. So all of these things stem back. 30 years ago, I got bit by a tick. Multiple ticks, and I can tell you exactly what day, what time, and where I was, but no one would test me for Lyme.
Of course not.
So here we are, and this is why my movement is so loud, and I'm so excited about everything, but I'm very dedicated and I'm driven because I may never have needed a hysterectomy if I had actually had someone look into these environmental toxins. And I'm okay with not having children, but like, why not have actually stopped and been like, parasites, mold. I have 11 active molds in my body. I was born with mold. I've
Yeah.
actually been able to go back. My mom's been tested. We have the same mold. I've
Yeah.
been able to dig so deep from all of this studying and all of this viralness and meeting people and creating a company that I've actually been able to start healing my lineage.
Isn't
Like,
that amazing?
yeah, it
Think
gives me
about
goosebumps.
that.
Yep.
Your pain, your like true trauma, your true pain is now impacting the world and
Yes.
generational, right?
Yes.
So think about the influence you have on people, right? You have to sit back sometimes and go, "Oh my gosh, this is a pinch me moment. Like I can't believe this is happening. Like I can't believe I'm the worm queen, number 1." And number 2, we're talking about this as if
Yes.
it's like, make sure you get your vitamins, right?
Yes,
As
because
if the
that's where we
conversation
need to be. That
because it's
is
so
where we
common.
need to be in society. We
No.
eat fish. We walk outside barefoot. I'm not saying
Oh
to
my
not
God.
ground. It's
Oh my
so
God. Let's.
important. But you don't know if the dog just pooped there. I mean, we're in Napa last weekend and a tick crawled out from my shirt.
I can't. I can't.
So it's like we're just so exposed, but we're just so indoctrinated to think that these human bodies, because we're Western
Like
medicine.
we can't transmit them. What are you talking about?
Totally.
So this is a
Totally.
funny story. So I dated this guy. He was a surfer kind of guy. So he loved to surf. That was his thing. And he lived at the beach. And this is going to be totally funny when you hear this. And he would walk to the beach. He lived like 3 blocks from the beach. So he'd carry a surfboard with him barefoot,
Mm.
walking to the beach in the sand, in the ocean, and back. And his feet, I remember seeing this one day, and his feet were black, right? And I go, we're going to go to dinner. Are you
Oh.
going to take a shower? And he goes, no, the ocean was my shower. I go, do you see how black your feet are? Like, ew, ew. And I said, you know what? I can't date you. I
Good
cannot date
for
you.
you,
You
Tammy.
parasites in your body. Your feet are black. Who knows what's in your body? And he looked at me like, why? Why are you breaking up with me? Because you don't shower. B, you walk barefoot. And C, you're a walking toxic load. That's what you are. And I can't have that transmitted to my body.
Oh my God.
Broke up with the
Well,
guy.
I'm gonna bring in the parasite worm queen on that because hookworm is a huge problem. He probably has we call them hookers. He probably has one. He probably has one.
This is such a great conversation. Well, now that in hindsight, yeah, he's a hooker kind of guy for sure. Like it's, now that I've broken up with him and I'm like, oh yeah, he's a hooker kind of guy for sure. And I mean that like with for all intent and purposes, like he was a walking worm.
Gross, man. And I mean that's the whole thing. It's a whole thing. And you can transfer them to people. You can transfer them
Ew,
to each other. You can
ew.
I mean, really, it's and I just think that we all just think, oh, it can't happen to us. But
No, no.
it very much can happen
And
to
that
you. And you
person,
probably have a parasite.
because think about it. What are, now that we're on this part of the conversation, what are the most
The
common ways
hooker
we are exposed?
conversation, Tammy.
Yes, the hooker, yeah, hooker conversation and not bathing. Oh my God. And the science project. We're all of these things. So what are the most common ways of exposure? I mean, we talked about food, we talked about walking barefoot, but what are the most dogs? I mean, cats, I mean,
Yes,
all of
pets.
it.
Pets,
Yes.
horses, cows, like and we're eating animals, right? So it's in their blood, it's in the tissue, it's in the muscle, it's in our blood, it's in our tissue, and it's in our muscle. Everyone thinks it's just in our gut, but that's really just kind of a facade because they're everywhere. They really are everywhere. But
Let's talk about the water.
oh, yes, yes, yes. Because, that is what brought us together, and I am obsessed with Aphora water. It's everywhere. In fact, okay, so
Let's
I
just
live
do
in
that right now, Kim. Let's give them a shout out and why the
yes,
water. Let's talk about the tap water being so wrought with
yeah,
parasites and why you've made or making the transition to Ophora water, because Ophora is a big part of our lives
yes, it's
because
huge.
it's in the
It's a
tap water.
huge.
Yeah.
When I switched over to Aphora water, I actually found out about it because of Sean Kelly.
Yep.
That's where I found Aphora. I got to drink some of it, and then I met Tim, and I've
Yep.
talked with Tim,
Yep.
and so I think what people don't realize about water is that every 15 minutes you absorb 2 cups of water into your body when you're bathing or if you're showering or you're in the river, and everything in that water is being absorbed into your body. Your skin is your biggest
Ew.
organ, and it's also
Ew.
the easiest way to absorb things.
Yeah.
So, transdermal is a very popular way for you to absorb. So, if you're thinking about, oh, I put some transdermal something on, well, soaking in water is the same way. So, if you're
Yeah.
soaking in
Ew.
really great water like Aphora and
Oh,
it's not tap water, you're actually doing kind of a biohack stack, which is what my plan is when we are moving. And I haven't really talked a lot about it, but my husband and I bought some acreage and we're going to build a ranch. And
yeah.
in that part of our build, we've decided to put in Aphora water because I want
Yeah.
to be able to soak in it in our pool and in our hot tub because I need to be able to biohack stack. I don't have a lot of time anymore in life because
Right.
I've started this huge business and it just rules our life.
And it's
So,
just like blowing up like crazy. Like every time I
oh,
talk to Tim, I'm like, do you see Kim? I go, she was nominated as, well, you just got recognized for something recently. I go, this woman is like off the charts right now. Let's talk a little bit more about the water though, because I pull
yeah.
EWG reports all day.
Hmm.
Okay. When I talk to people across the country about their water, and when I pull the reports, they're mortified.
Yep.
right? So let's talk about it. And I mean, this is the elephant in the room. Is the tap water really that contaminated? Yes, it
Yes.
is.
And it's not just tap water, like, from the city, and I think that that's also a huge misconception. It's well water, and so in Hoodsport, Washington, it's a community well that was contaminated for us that had parasites. It actually had nematodes larvae because our country doesn't test for that, and so it's really important to know that not only are you worrying about parasites in your water, but also the heavy metals because they
Yeah.
absorb 6 to 8 times their weight in heavy
Yeah.
metals, viruses, bacteria, spores. So when you are actually doing like a deworming, like Parafy parasite cleanse, you need to add in the herbs to assist with removing everything they're going to dump. They're just like this house that is just stacking as many things in it as possible to party. And then when you go and
To
you burn
party.
that house down, you literally got to figure out ways to like evict
Oh my
everything out of it, you
They're
know?
stacking to party. The
They
worms are
are.
stacking to party.
They're
We're talking
partying.
about hookers. We're talking about science projects. We're talking about worms stacking to party. I mean, who knew this would be so fun? But it's true.
It's
But
so
it's
true.
true.
And
And
so if you're drinking crappy tap water and you're not drinking water that's been filtered, and just not even the fact that Aphora water is like the best because it's
right,
medical grade, it's
right.
pH balanced, it's hydrogenated, like there's so many things and so many levels that go
Yeah.
in and help with your cells. So if
Yep.
you're going in and you're trying to do a positive with your cell, can you imagine if you're going in with tap water,
No.
ice that's made
N-
from the tap, like
No.
your produce? I don't eat any raw produce out
No.
anymore. I did it one time in the last few years,
Ew.
and I got salmonella poisoning 3
Of
months
course.
ago because I went against what I normally do because who knows how they even washed it. And even if
Blueberries.
they did, it doesn't even matter. And so that's really like in my mind when all of this was going on, I was washing my produce with the contaminated water
Ew.
from my tap. And so it's like all I did, and maybe that produce was actually good until I created a more problem for it.
Until you went down the rabbit hole and opened up every
Oh,
core,
it's
you
the
know,
wormhole, Tammy. We are
it's
all down
listen.
the wormhole.
I am so far down, like, I was like, "I can't wait to talk with you because I'm so far down right now." Like, I don't even know what's gonna come out of my body. I don't.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
Oh,
this is, like, the
girl.
final hurrah for me because 'cause I've done everything else, all the things twice, if not
Yeah.
3 times. Soaking in the water, drinking the water, eating well. I've got everything filtered. I mean, this is, like, it, and I cannot wait to see. And I don't know how I'm gonna feel, but I know it's gonna be pretty intense, but I know how much better I'm gonna feel after.
And even
Let's
if you are the best eating, the most taken care of, look at me. I still have things come out of my body at times. My best friend, Sam, who's also my co-host with What's Eating You that you're gonna get to meet in a few weeks, she's just
Yes.
amazing. I love her
Yes,
so very much.
yes.
She blows them out her nose. She's
Shut
done
it.
a hun and she is you'll see her when you meet her, she is the most fit, healthiest person and has been for 13 years, and she keeps blowing them out her nose. And we constantly are needing to do this. You're constantly exposed. You're constantly in need of cleansing. That's why we say 3 to 4 times a year.
So now that we're on that, let's talk about cleansing and protocols. So
Yeah.
Parafy is your baby. The Parafy cleanse, I want to say it's 30 days,
Yes, it's a
right? Is it
30-day
30 days? Okay.
cleanse.
So
Mhm.
what makes it different than, like, for example, and I know this is a poor example, but a good example because people do this, and I would never buy supplements on Amazon. But what's
Right.
the difference between your cleanse and, let's say, if I were to go and get tinctures off of Amazon and get black walnut? Because I know there's some herbs and stuff that will mitigate the worms, but not
Yeah.
100%. So it's 30 days. What makes yours different?
Well, when you go and just get random herbs that you don't even know how much you're supposed to take, how long you're supposed to take them, exactly what the ailment is that is going in that frequency to go in and rid that ailment, how are you supposed to know exactly what's inside of the worm or the parasite that you're trying to get rid of? And that's kind of where Parafy comes in a little differently because every herb I picked, I hand picked those because of my own experience. So
Mm.
I did multiple cleanses and I was being watched by 40 to 50 million people a month. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
I think just because Instagram has just taken a huge fire with me, I've been doing this since 2021. And I think over on TikTok, that's where I got a lot of my information and a lot of my knowledge. And just had a better understanding of what parasite cleansing really looked like. It's not just cleansing parasites. You also have candida, which is an overgrowth of yeast, which we all have. We
Big
also
time.
have heavy metals in our body, a huge amount, and they're dumping them. So my first cleanse, here I am, I'm ridding my body of these worms, but I'm making myself worse because I dumped Epstein-Barr virus that it was
Oh my
hanging on to for
gosh.
years. And then I was dumping heavy metals and I wasn't binding. So what made
Oh,
our kit so much better is that I tell you everything. It's 3 tinctures and a binder. You take them 3 times a day, 15 drops, and the binder at night. It's very simple. We give you instructions. We have a nut-free option. We ship worldwide. I did not want to go into this without all of the options, all of the boxes checked because of what I went through, and I
right,
went through it on camera.
right.
So I didn't know about all of these things, and I was able to research and go down this wormhole. And I have that knowledge because I was a professor and I ran 25 healthcare colleges. So this is something that I love doing anyway. And I started researching what other countries cleanse with, what other countries do when they have parasites, how many times a year they cleanse, how many times a year you're supposed to if you are exposed constantly. So I was able to actually take all of that information that's kind of hidden and also all over the place, right? And put it into one spot so that everyone can have an educational decision when they go to do this. And it's not going to hurt you. That's the thing.
Wow.
All of the herbs that we used are things like cilantro and
Mm,
black walnut hull,
mm,
garlic, clove.
mm.
Everybody knows what those things are. It's
Right.
just the way that we actually go in and soak the herbs because
Yep.
we also at Rogers Hood make our own products.
Right.
We have a 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility here in the United States and 30 employees, and we actually process and make our own product.
So we know
All of
where
our
it's
products.
sourced. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I don't want to put this in the hands of anyone else. That
Of
is
course
just
not.
not an option for us.
Yeah. So how do you handle how does one handle the die-off symptoms? Because I know when you start any protocol, right, they're going to have a Herx. You're going to have a Herx reaction big time. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Herx, that is when if you're going through it's called Herxmeyer, right? And when you're
Yep.
going through a protocol, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Right. And those are
Yeah.
die off symptoms. And for me, the more severe the symptoms, the die off, the better. I'm excited about because it's doing what it's supposed to do. So how does one handle, and everybody's different. How am I going to handle the die off symptoms when I start this cleanse?
Well, I think that a lot of people do believe that the harder the die-offs, the
Yeah.
better it is, but I
Yep.
really tried to mitigate that situation because I had such terrible die-offs. So what
Mm,
I did is I brought in wormwood and Oregon grapefruit with usnea and the combination with the lungwort lichen. I break the biofilm. That is a very
mm,
helpful. It is a lot of parasite cleanses out there, and if you don't bring in herbs that break that biofilm, you're going to have bigger die-offs. You're gonna have harder
yeah.
die-offs, and if
Yeah.
you don't bind so I just brought in
Oof.
herbs like Ceylon cinnamon and coconut activated charcoal for my binder to help with die-offs, and it
Yeah.
also will help pull out some of the spores that are being dumped when you're killing off the physical worm. So it's really about knowing what the frequency of that ailment is, and I love to talk about frequencies and to kind of have your community understand what a frequency is to rid your ailment is that think about an opera singer singing and when she gets her voice to the same frequency as the glass and it shatters, that's all
Mm,
I'm doing. All I did was figure out what the frequency is of the ailment, like a heavy metal, the
mm,
frequency of things like Epstein-Barr virus, and I brought in usnea to help rid of the bacteria and the viruses that they're holding on to so that they don't get reabsorbed into your body, creating a whole nother environmental toxin issue. And
wow.
that's really what happened to me and my husband. And so I just really wanted to bring all of these herbs in to assist so that you don't have those terrible die offs, so that you continue to cleanse. It's like a bad trip. You
Yeah.
really need it, but you don't want it. And when you have it, it's going to make you not want to do mushrooms again, or, even though it's really important.
Right.
When you have a bad cleanse, you don't want to do it again. And that's really defeating the purpose of what we're all trying to do here, which is rid our bodies of these environmental toxins that are a real issue.
Yeah.
It's a
No, it's
real
very real.
issue.
So, what can I expect, or what can one expect when it comes to mind shifts, right? I know that parasites affect anxiety, it affects hormonal imbalances. What can one expect mentally and emotionally while going through a cleanse?
Well, they definitely hold on to trauma, so don't be surprised if all of a sudden you're like, "I don't remember having this trauma from kindergarten," and it just appears. It's because you're killing something off that isn't just peeing and pooping in your body, but
Right.
releasing a traumatic feeling to you. They
Right.
hijack our nervous system, they hijack our lymphatic system, so you're gonna go through some anxiety, you're
Yep.
gonna have a heightened sense of awareness and
Mm,
a little depression, but I really try to mitigate that as well by bringing in other things that assist with it. And
mm,
so I brought in like white willow bark that kind of helps
mm.
calm the pain, and also then it doesn't ramp you up with the mental. And
Right.
parasites are very mental. I know I talk about toxoplasmosis. They can come in and control your mind. Parasites control your mind and mold brainwashes you.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. 1
They're
million
alive.
percent. 1,000,000%. And that is a very real emotion because when and you don't even know it when you're going through it because you're just like,
Mhm.
wow, I'm so healthy. How is this happening? Why am I anxious all the time? Why am I bloated even though my hormones are in check? Why am I always constantly feeling like I'm constipated? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Because that's a symptom too, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily
Yes.
have to be IBS or diarrhea or anything
Right.
else. It's constipation. They're
Yeah.
hurting.
You can drink a glass of water and bloat, and you have a parasite. You
Right.
can sit and take stool softeners and still not be able to poop. It's a parasite. And
Yeah.
if you think about the anatomy of your body, it doesn't want to leave. So it's causing you to clench and it's causing you to not be able to go to the bathroom. That's what it's doing. It's considered like the die off part of it all, but like at the same time, it doesn't want to exit. So it's telling your body because it's literally alive. These are alive in our bodies, and I know it's freaky, and that's why I laugh and I try and smile and I point at things on my videos and I'm like, "Look at that." And it's because this is such a crazy topic, but if you come at it with a smile and you make people understand their bodies, then you actually have a better time cleansing, right? If
You
you're
have to make friends with it. You have to
Yeah,
make
you
friends
have
with it.
to be okay with it. You have to be okay with it because first off, it's not your fault you didn't know, and that
Right.
was probably one of the hardest things for me. I literally was a valedictorian at both of my degrees, and I had no idea about this, literally. So, it's
So
not
crazy.
anybody's fault, right? It's just
So crazy.
we've just been kind of indoctrinated to think that you can only get it in Mexico and it's not gonna come back with you, or it's
No.
not gonna cross the border, or our dirt, or our water, like, I mean, you just have to know that this is a thing now, and now that we have the tools to be able to understand, and I give all of my knowledge away, all of my resources are free. You can go download free fast track guide, drainage, everything I do is free except for my kit. I don't feel like this is a time for people to have to be charged for knowledge. You
Right.
really just need to arm yourself and be your own patient advocate and go
Mhm.
in and be like, "Listen, I think this might be a parasite." And if your doctor's like, "No, it's not." Go get a
Mhm.
Parafy kit. It's $100.
Yeah,
And within like a few days, you'll probably know exactly what's going on with you.
exactly, because you're gonna start to either feel really good and you're gonna feel relieved or you're gonna feel horrible because it's working,
Yeah.
or both. Um, I know there's other cultures that cleanse more
Yes.
frequently than we do. What
Mhm.
can we learn from them? What have you learned from them aside from the obvious? And what can we as in America, because we're so anti stuff like this, right? I know there's other
Mhm.
cultures that cleanse regular. What can we learn from them?
Well, and it isn't just America, it's actually Canada because I own a business, so I
Yeah,
see where all of our
yeah.
kits are going. It's really the Western medicine countries. So it's Canada, the United States, and Australia, and some places in like England. Those are our top 4 places that we actually ship the most to. But I just think we should be doing this at least 3 to 4 times a year, if
Mm.
not over the full moon, and that actually does have science based behind it.
Talk about that. Talk about
Okay.
that because a lot of people think that's kinda woo woo, right?
Right. So other countries like Jamaica, they drink a tea over the full moon during that point. I'll talk about exactly why the full moon is such a valid point, but other countries cleanse multiple times. And so I know I did a few cruises, so I would always talk to the people on the cruise and ask them like, "What do you do for parasite cleansing? Like what does your country do?" And I found out Jamaica does a tea once a
Mm,
month. and Mexico does it often. They do it at least 2 times with synthetics. I've studied the Amish in Germany and Korea, and they all do synthetics mixed with herbs in order for them to continue to stay healthy. And we are an epidemic of chronic illness. So why?
Always.
Why are we in this position? Well, we only say that 60 million Americans have parasites, but that's only 60 millions that are tested. And I
Mm,
want to like speak on that really quick because those 60 million that are tested, I'm not even one of them because my test went to Mexico. CDC only records the testing of the people that are with our Western medicine
of course.
insurance
Of
countries,
course.
right? Or our Western medicine insurance testing. So we don't even have accurate testing. So that's really not even an accurate. And then with the mold, it's the same. It's like 60% of our buildings have mold in them. So you get in there and you have someone like me that has chronic Lyme, and those are co-infections. So now they're all just partying. But I feel like now that I've been really loud and I'm kind of getting out there and I'm really making sure I've just hired a lobbyist to help me. I'd like to get in front
Mm,
of different spaces in the government to kind of look at some medical reform. I feel like now that this is being talked about even more, the understanding that we should be doing this minimum of 3 to 4 times a year is really important. And if you are worried about having a parasite and you have flares during the full moon, or you have itchy butt during the full moon,
mm.
or I mean, my flares would hit the full moon. And so when I started finding more about this, I started actually documenting when the full moon was, and then I started documenting when my flares were. And right before I went viral, I was like, is there like a thing with full moons and parasites? And so I started researching it. And in fact, there is. Our serotonin and melatonin actually like switch during the full moon. So the serotonin runs higher and they eat the serotonin. That's why we're all depressed. And
Oh my
so they
gosh.
can hop on that serotonin river 3 days prior to the full moon, start to dislodge themselves, create a whole new environment in your body. They got a whole new community because we're feeding them that serotonin. And that's
Community.
why everyone says, "Are you crazy during the full moon?" Yes,
Yes, I
very much
am.
so.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. So they just wreak havoc.
Yes, they wreak
Complete
havoc
wreak
on our
havoc.
bodies. Mhm.
So when it comes to ensuring safety and quality with your products, especially the herbal products, how do you what do you go through as far as that's concerned?
Well, we're third party tested,
Mhm.
and we are way below the FDA standards for everything. So we make sure that we send over our samples. We're GMP right now, so we're finishing up our certification, which is a process. And we just make sure that where we forage some of our herbs, and I've gone through and ethically sourced all of the herbs. So I personally have a hand in everything. I mean, I created all of this, and then I just have a really great business partner that runs our production facility. So
Yeah.
that's really important to me because not only are you all putting this in your bodies, but so am I.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
been through the ringer. I mean, I almost died, so I definitely don't want to have anything put in my body. And my family takes this kit religiously. So it's really important that we all stay healthy and we do stay alert of what's going on. And that's really what made me design my own kit, is that I actually went and asked multiple people that I was doing their cleanse at the beginning of this what their natural ingredients were, why there was natural ingredients, and also why do you have coloring, because this other company
Mm.
has caramel coloring.
Mm.
Why do you have that? And they couldn't answer me. And I'm like, I'm on a mission to heal my body, not give it something that is not good. And so it's really what made me decide to do this, is that
And
I couldn't get straight answers from anybody.
not only that, but I feel like traditionally they give you answers that will create more complications, right, for your
Yes.
body, right? And it's not
Mhm.
even let's peel back the layers of the onion. Let's just talk about the symptoms and we'll treat that
Yes.
versus where's the source, right? Um, so when it comes to doing these cleanses, what do you feel like is one parasite myth that you wish people would stop believing about parasites? Because I know before I even went down this rabbit hole, I was very unclear about parasites in general. I knew they were there and I was that person. Oh, I can't, there's no way I can have it. I'm so healthy, blah, blah, blah. So what's one myth that you feel like people would need to stop believing?
that this is a one and done. That
Oof.
one cleanse is enough. It is not. It will never be because you're exposed every day, and that you should be afraid. You should not be afraid. You now are armed with knowledge. You now understand. And if you know, you know. And so take that and run with it because I hear people all the time, well, a few years ago, I dewormed
Mhm.
myself. And I'm like, well, a few years ago, you had a worm and you still do. Like, it's not a one and done, and you have to do it in cycles because they will lay their eggs on the way out when they're afraid.
Ew.
And if
On the
you
way
ever
out.
smell like ammonia, that's because they're peeing and pooping in your body. And
Ew,
so
wait,
you,
stop right
yes,
there. On the way out. What do you mean? Like,
on
where
the
are they
way
going?
out.
On the when
Yes.
they come out of your fecal matter?
They on the way out when they die,
Oh
they're
my
dropping their offspring so that they can continue to go, and that's why we say at least 3 to 4 times a year minimum, and if you do back-to-backs, you should wait 7 days between because that allows their offspring to start to develop, and then you can come in and get rid of them. This is never going to be a one and done. This is something that you will have to change your life a little bit, and I'm not saying change everything, but it is very simple to take 3 tinctures and a binder for 30 days. I made it so easy. I actually made it for my husband because he needs to cleanse, and I didn't want it to be overly complicated. And so it isn't a one and done. This is something that when you start to feel yucky, or in my case, if I start to have low self-worth because I have small
mm,
intestinal
mm.
parasites, and that's where they live, and that's where that emotion lives. So when I start to feel unworthy of myself, I'm like, "Oh gosh, I need to go cleanse," and I'll go hop on a Parafy kit for 15, 20 days until I start to feel better, and then I cycle through, right? And then I go back, and but then I've been exposed because I'll travel and I'll eat questionably, and sometimes I can't always filter my water when I'm showering in other cities, and it's just life. Like, I live an 80/20
Facts.
lifestyle, and I'm not gonna be afraid, but I
Yeah,
am gonna be armed with the knowledge, and I am gonna be a proactive person
yeah,
versus a reactive. We're such a reactive we're such a reactive culture.
yes.
Like, be proactive. I know this is a thing,
Right.
you know?
And there's a big difference between, responding rationally, right, with your mind and reacting emotionally, and we all do it. So, what are some tips? What's the number one tip you would offer someone who's cleansing for the first time? Because I'm getting ready to do it. So,
I'm
what's a
excited.
tip that you could advise, not just me, but the listeners, the people who are watching this? What can I expect from this cleanse? And what's a tip to help? Because I'm expecting massive die off. I'm already preparing myself. I have tons of water, right, to help with that.
Mhm.
So, what could I expect doing this for the first time?
I don't
And
think
what's
you're
a
gonna
tip?
have massive die-off. What was that?
What's a tip you could offer?
Well,
Oh,
first, it's an emotional tip, and then I'll give a physical tip. The
okay.
emotional tip is give yourself grace. Just know that you're doing something in your body that's new. And so those die offs are going, is your body working? And that's why you keep saying the more die offs, the more it's working.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it's because your body is in a defense mode saying, I'm not allowing this to go back into the body. I'm not allowing this to like re engage. I don't want this. And so it's reacting the way it's supposed to, heightening up your immune system, really giving the energy to where it needs to push out this toxin that it has no idea. It's
Oof.
defending itself. That's what your body's meant to do. Your body is meant to heal itself. When you get a cut on your arm, it wants to heal, right? If you get a cut on your skin, it wants to heal. And so that's what it looks like internally as well. So give yourself a lot of grace. Just understand that you can start and pause and start and pause and just really give it the way you feel comfortable going through it. You start to get a lot of die offs. Pause for a couple of days. Give your body a break. Get a reset. Eat really clean. That's
Mm,
another thing is that, we have a free cookbook. It's very strict. I picked the Candida diet. I haven't had a lot of time to do a new meat protein cookbook, which is where I'm at right now. I know that over the last few years, the research I've done, we should still be eating some meat protein while on a cleanse. But at the beginning of this journey, I was like, no meat, no sugar, no
no,
carbs,
no,
no
no.
alcohol. But you really need to bring more protein in while you're doing this to give your body more energy because it's really going through something new that it's never been through. So just really give yourself some grace. If you start to feel like in a mental space.
Mm,
Pause,
mm,
allow your body to re-engage, give yourself that grace, get on some really good modalities. Water, get
mm,
really good water. A 4 water is the best. I highly recommend drinking that while you're cleansing because it's hydrating your cells,
mhm,
not just hydrating your body, but
mhm.
hydrating literally where it needs to go to push things out of its cells. Find things like red light therapy,
Yeah.
IV, NAD is going to be your best friend during this. It's going to boost your mitochondria and assist you. Go through sauna, do cold plunging, move your body, vibration plate, get yourself into a good system of really getting the movement going and making yourself feel better. Go out for a walk, really engage in what you're doing because you're going to change your life. I mean, if we've learned anything in this last 50 minutes, it's really that you can change who you are, but you don't have to change internally, like
Mhm,
your soul.
mhm.
So allow your body to do what it needs to do and just accept and be good with it and just know that you can't just do this once or twice. Like this is a lifestyle change because we are exposed, especially if you eat sushi or salmon. Any all fish have parasites. It's just normal, right? Like parasites are doing their job. They're decomposers. So there's something going on in your body that they're trying to decompose. So there is a root to a lot of these
Mm,
issues. But just know that they are in our animals and they're definitely in pigs because the pigs don't have a lymphatic system that pushes
mhm,
toxins out.
mhm.
So there's a lot of things out there that we're just not aware that they harbor these things. So,
Just don't go outside barefoot, right?
oh man, and don't go
It's
find that hooker surfer guy.
grounding, like grounding, no, no.
Well, you can ground, just keep that area really clean, like with diatomaceous earth and make sure no I mean, I was doing a podcast with someone who looked at me and goes, Well, I go ground and while picking up my dog's poop." And
Oh
I'm
my
like, "Okay,
god.
so you're you're walking through like,
Giardia,
you
Giardia.
you do you deworm your dog? Oh, you don't. Okay, so your dog's out there eating it, licking his butt. The other dog's eating it. I'm like, and then they hop in the bed, and I had the same worm as my dog. So I know that you can catch these things from pets because they're out there doing all the things. We were in Napa. My sister's dog had a tick. Guess where the tick ended up? On me. So you really just gotta like look at this in a big picture when you're looking at, changing your lifestyle.
So you mentioned a few of the foods that you shouldn't eat
Mhm.
out the gate, and I know the answer, but share with everyone why. I know that parasites feed off of certain foods, and I know that they hate garlic.
Yes, they
So
hate garlic.
why eliminate those foods out the gate?
Well, you don't wanna keep feeding them, and if
Mhm,
you are eating anything raw, I don't eat anything raw anymore. I'm
mhm,
they just live in the raw, like, you can cook them to be unalived. I just don't wanna eat food that I know salmon has and
mhm, mhm,
halibut, and I live in
mhm.
Seattle, and I've gone down and talked to the Pike Market fishermen, and I'm like, "So, how many parasites are in the" they're like, all fish have parasites, it's normal." They're, like, looking at me like I'm nuts, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I
Oh,
know this, but I'm interviewing you, so you need to tell everybody that, this
all
is a thing."
fish.
Yeah, so all fish closer to the belly cut, they have more parasites, obviously, because that, when they are ingesting things and then they just move themselves right on up into the muscle, the tissue, and the blood. And so this is normal. It's a normal thing. We deworm our horses because, they're out there in fields. Cows have 3 stomachs, so they're a little bit more filtered, but they still have them. I mean, you should cook your meat really well. You shouldn't have any bloody meat. You're just really being proactive instead of continuing to worry. Just cook your food. Don't eat raw produce out. It is the number one way when you're traveling too. Don't get ice. I live in Seattle. They say their water's the best. I beg to differ. And I just look at it like, why are we even down this rabbit hole of like ice and all of this when we just know that it's a potential, you know?
And that's really kind of unfortunate because if you think about it, some of the antioxidant fruits like berries, right? I mean, they have a ton of parasites.
Yes.
A ton. How do
Yes.
you mitigate that, right? Like,
Oh,
how do you do that?
I'll tell you exactly how to do it because this is what I do all day long too. So, you want to soak your produce. You want to soak all of your produce. And I have a recipe. And then I also have a second step that I do since learning a little bit more about how many things are actually on our produce. So, my produce soak is 2 cups of vinegar, a half of a lime, 2 tablespoons of sea salt. I prefer Baja. It's a biohack because it's actually remineralizing your produce while it's soaking. And then
Mm,
1 gallon of distilled or filtered water. And you
okay.
soak that for 5 to 10 minutes. Then you rinse and then you put it in clean distilled or filtered water that you throw the Thurasage in, the Thurasage ozone bubbler. And then that
Mm,
removes anything that potentially wasn't removed in your first soak that also remineralized, which is a biohack. And then you go into the Thurasage where now it's ozoning and removing even more bacteria and pesticides. So you're trying, and they'll last longer. It's clean. You're trying to nutrient your body, right? You're trying to put nutrients back in, not trying to reinfect yourself. So clean and biohack with the sea salt. So there's so many ways that you can be proactive in this way. That's what we do.
so I have one question left for you.
Yeah.
Aside from your journey being, you've arrived, you truly have arrived in this space because of what you've been through. And I admire and I love the fact that you created this company, Parafy, to basically, it was born basically out of your trauma, right?
Hmm.
And you
Yeah.
want to ensure that other people, when they're going through this part of their journey, that they don't go through what you went through, right?
Correct.
So I know you talk to so many people. You're interviewed. You're featured. You have you've written. You're well accomplished. You've written many publications and all the things. What's the one thing that you are so grateful for through all of this, other than you've got this crazy company now that's impacting so many lives, and you're literally global, and you're healthy, and you're on this. I feel like you're on the fifth chapter of your life right now, and I feel like you're making up for lost time, right? What's the one thing that you're super, super grateful for now in hindsight, looking back on everything?
My family.
Yeah,
So the parasites hijacked my mental health and I had no contact with my family for 7 years. So my
because
family.
because why?
Um, you just don't think straight. You just don't really like comprehend if one thing happens, it becomes a domino effect and you don't think clearly. And so definitely my family. We reconnected 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And do they understand? They understand the journey and where you've
Yeah.
come from and now where you've arrived.
Yep, and I've been
Mm.
able to help my mom and help my dad and help my sister get healthy and help my nieces. My one of my nieces just started working for us 6 weeks ago. So yeah, I mean, I think that people don't realize how one chronically ill people have a harder time mentally and how one little thing that could be a disagreement can turn into such a huge thing when you're not thinking straight and it's not really you thinking because they can control you. And so I know I talk about toxoplasmosis gondii often because it's a mind controlling parasite. And so it's so easy when you catch this that you're like, why did I say that? Or why did I feel that? Or that's not me. Why did I
Yeah.
do that? And
Yeah.
it's not you. You're right. It's not you. And so there are ways to like conquer that and figure
Yeah.
out that that's not you. I am to my core the most loving person, but like it just domino effects when you have an environmental toxin that's coming in and hijacking your mind.
And you know, the crazy thing is it's environmental, right?
Yes.
I mean, but most people, when they refer to environmental, they're thinking, oh, you know, pollen in the air, oh, you know, dust particles. Yeah, those are all the usual suspects. But let's really dive into this whole, it's parasites.
Yes.
Because I can, now that you just shared that with me, I've thought back to, and I just attributed it to my hormones were out of whack. Well, guess what? Now that that's balanced, why am I still feeling like this?
Mhm.
Right? And it can be the only thing left, right?
Yes. Yep.
I have learned so much from you today. I've learned that my ex-boyfriend was a hooker kind of guy. I've learned that when he walked barefoot to the beach and his feet were completely black, that he probably brought in not just hooker worms, but what other worms? Who knows what he brought in, which is why
Roundworm,
brown, whatever.
flatworm,
I quit dating
whipworm.
him. And I've learned that we're science projects every day of our
Mhm.
lives. And I've learned that these darn things build a community.
Yeah,
As they're leaving your body, they're like, their spawn is everywhere. Like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
How are we okay with this? America, people, women, men, you have to be your own advocate. You cannot just take what Western medicine is telling you. You cannot just take what the doctor is saying, this is what it is, and no, this is it. Gaslighting is a thing.
Yes,
Right? It's such a
yes.
thing. You have to do your homework. You have to listen to your body and you have to consult with people like Kim, who has taken her trauma, her experience, and she's helping people on a global level. Kim, how do people get a hold of your Parafy kit? How can they reach you? Give us all the things so people can reach out to you. Not that you need another person contacting you, but you do.
Well, and I do have a team. I have an amazing team that answers every comment, every email, every DM. So we really are here holding your hand along the way. I've trained them myself. So we really are here to help you, either just asking us questions about yourself or about our cleanse. But you can find me on rogershood.com is my website. Mrs. Rogers Hood is my handle. On IG, it's Mrs. Rogers.hood. And I feel for the lady that holds Mrs. Rogers Hood because there is a lady out there on IG. I feel bad for her. But you can also watch me on my podcast, What's Eating You with the letter
Yes.
U.
Yep.
You can pretty much just type in Kim Rogers Worm
Yep.
Queen, like
Yep.
Google me. You can find
Yeah.
me anywhere. I am
Chat GPT
everywhere.
you. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And everything comes up about your life. Well, I'm grateful for this. I'm excited to start my cleanse. And I'm excited that you love Ophora water because we know how much we love Ophora water.
Shout out or for
Yes.
woo.
And you guys, this is really, really good water when you are doing your cleanse.
Mhm.
P.S. Because when you drink the water and you're not cleansing, you do feel the difference. Throw in soaking in the water, throw in cooking with the water, throw in bathing in the water, and your mind changes. But then when you start to peel back again the layers, and you're like, okay, I'm doing all the things. Why do I still feel like shit?
Yeah.
Look at your poop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
Yep.
just go there. Look at your
Yep.
poop. I know it's not something we want to do, or we're so accustomed to not looking at our poop and just kind of turning a blind eye. But this is probably something you want to look at. You want to look at your poop. So, not that all of you are going to go do that right now, but if you're starting to feel weird and your body just isn't getting better, just Google parasites.
Yep. Or
Just
just
Google it
cleanse. I mean,
or cleanse.
honestly, just
Yeah.
cleanse 3 to 4 times a year minimum. And if you are afraid, just so you know, there are 3 types of cleansers. There's the lookers, the flushers, and the diggers.
And then the hookers. Let's just
And
go
the
there. The
hookers.
hookers, the cleansers, the hookers. What are the other two?
The flushers, the lookers, and the diggers.
Flusher. Okay. Don't be a flusher. Don't be a looker. Don't be a digger or
Just be a
dugger.
cleanser.
Just be a hooker. That's your new tagline. I learned so much today. Kim, thank you. I cannot wait to meet you in person in like 2 weeks at
Yeah, a
Alfora.
couple weeks. Yeah.
And I'm so excited to be on this journey. I will be blowing your phone up though when I
Yes.
start to feel all these weird things. And you guys, seriously though, reach out to her. If you didn't
Mhm.
catch any of her Instagram information, how to reach her, just direct message me. I recommend doing this. I'm getting ready to do it like tomorrow. Maybe I should wait till the full moon. I don't know. Now that I've had this interview, I should
No,
probably wait.
just
Just
start.
do it.
Just
Okay, just
start.
start.
Just get it
Just do it.
going.
Yeah,
Yep,
just
you'll
get it
be
going.
over the full moon at some point on
Yeah.
it.
So I'm going to document my journey since I've never done this before. So I'll be sure to tag you when I do it. But Kim, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to have interviewed you. I can't wait to meet you in person. And you guys, wash your produce, do what she said to do, look at your poop,
Mm.
and don't be around hookers. That's the moral of this podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Peace out. We'll get you on the flip side when I'm cleansed.